It was all action. And it's the scene when she runs into the ice house. And I thought, fuck it, I'm gonna play it. So I told the casting director, let them know I'm gonna walk in working. And I ran down the hallway screaming at the top of my lungs, and I slammed into the casting room. Slammed the door shut, pulled the chairs out from under Toby and Kit, piled them in front of the door, and I backed into the corner going, they live on fear, they live on fear. And they auditioned 450 women for that role.
Oh, wow.
New York, LA, everywhere.
Yeah.
But he wanted a Texas girl. And I knew I was gonna do this. I do this shit all the time. Happy birthday, Toby, wherever you are.
Oh. Oh, snap. If that's real.
For me, it was kind of a double whammy because I had known Tom Savini, the East Coast film world, FX world especially, was a tight-knit community. And I remember thinking that when Tom had completed Day of the Dead, his trajectory of films was like perfect. If you looked at it like a sculpture, every one of those films were a landmark, a lot of it because of great filmmakers, but also his work. And then with Romero, you get Day of the Dead, and you're like, whoa, where does it go from here? And suddenly it's Texas Chainsaw Part 2 with Tobe Hooper. So I was very aware of like, holy smokes, we're at Mount Everest here. This is great. So I loved Chainsaw 1, and I think we were all like, whoa, we're going in a different direction on this. I think we were all wondering, is it going to be a gritty, dark, nasty thing? It became that, but in a cartoon view, it became different. And so, like Bill and I were saying, it was just a joy, a vibrational joy of excitement, because sometimes you only see things as cool when you look back on it, or time brings things into focus, especially because of these two, which I'm so glad they're the ones who are here tonight. We had the most fun on the shoot, so it was a wonderful, wonderful thing.
How many of you are seeing the film for the first time?
All right, yeah, that's awesome.
That's so cool.
That is cool. You're gonna have a good time.
How many of you are seeing it for the first time on the big screen in 35 millimeter? Wow. It's a different film when you see it on the screen playing loud. It's a different experience. It's intense.
And one thing, they talk about the term scream queen, which has been it's pretty liberally distributed. I mean, anybody that goes is a scream queen. But I just want you to keep in mind as you're watching this, just think about that and think about Caroline's performance at Stretch, because I have never. Seldom have I ever seen anybody scream as much and as well as Caroline. So I don't want to give anything away. She's got some pipes, man. So. Belmore, all right. Luke Perryman, R.I.P. We've lost a lot. Kid, Toby, yeah.
So one of the themes of this film, if there is a theme to this, the Saw is family, is carried through the whole series, and in many ways, it seems like it applies to the series as a whole as well. Which is to say, this wasn't the only time that you, Bill, or you, Caroline, were in a Chainsaw film. So can you tell us where to find you later on within this series?
Well, I was in what was originally called the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3D, but then I think it was one more D than they could really handle. So I think it just became the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I don't know. Maybe they put a And then it was like the Texas Chainsaw, because they did some kind of audience testing, and Massacre was too scary a word, so it became Texas Chainsaw. I don't know, maybe it just was called Texas, I don't know. But I was, I was called by Carl Mazzicone, who had produced Repo, the Genetic Opera. And Carl, through Lionsgate, had this, was going for, a Texas Chainsaw movie. And he called me up and he said, well, we're gonna do a chainsaw movie, and I want you to play the cook. I was thinking, like, what? I said, hey, Carl, I was Chop Top. I wasn't the cook. And he said, yeah, but we don't have the rights to Chop Top. We only have the rights to the original movie and the original characters, not the second one. So we want you to play the cook. So I was like, oh, jeez. And then I thought about it, and I thought, you know what? I would rather do it because I love Jim Siedow so much. I would rather be the one that does that than some other idiot doing it or trying it. And so I actually, I studied Jim. I studied his movements, and Jim had some real looked like kind of spastic movements, and so I studied it very hard, and then I came up with how he did it, and it was I'm going to demonstrate it. It's with a pelvic thrust. So I'll show you. Chop Top is like, you'll see like he's kind of broad shoulders and pushed over, and Jim is like, look what your brother did to the nose.
That was accurate.
So I was happy to play Jim, or to play the cook. And I do remember we shot it actually in Louisiana, so it really was the Louisiana Chainsaw Massacre. But they didn't want. I don't think that was going to, bring in as many ticket buyers. But anyway, I do remember I had a moment in that movie where, and this was at the very beginning, where they had, Gunnar Hansen was there and Marilyn. So I was lying down because it was just too much. I was covered with feathers and blood, so it was just too much to move. It was hot. Louisiana, it was the summer. And I was just lying there, and they had built a replica of the chainsaw house here for the original chainsaw house. And I was lying at the bottom of the stairs, and I just remember kind of looking up the stairs. People were dragging cables over me. There was a chicken in a cage, in a bird cage, that was attended by not one but two ASPCA people. A lot more attention than we got. But the chicken did very well. But I just remember lying there just thinking, God, I'm here, I just had that, because the original Chainsaw had completely freaked me out, which is why I did the Chainsaw Manicure. And it was just, it was really an amazing moment for me. The movie, who knows, but, that moment for me was really, very special, so. And I did it.
So I've got 27 hot seconds. In the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3 Leatherface, where they got that massive, huge saw, right? Remember, and boys in that version? The director of that one was Jeff Burr. And Jeff Burr is such a marvelous director. If you ever can find a copy of Straight Into Darkness, it's a classic film. It's one of the best movies you will ever see. But Jeff had directed me in Stepmother 2. Another film, another sort of notable sequel, is Sarah Quinn, repeated role. But Jeff had called me on the phone and he said, look, I want to keep your character alive. When you show up and you last with me, it's just very quick. And I said, I would do anything for him because in Stepmother 2, you had to reach it with death. And Jeff was not going to be doing it. And he called me on the phone and said, they want to reshoot that scene in Stepmother 2. Hold out for all the money you can. And I made as much money that one day as I made on the interview. He was a good and loyal friend, and finding something So, you will see me with blonde hair, doing lefty cigarette flick, as well, so. But I want to loop in something funny. How many of you have seen Leprechaun 3? You know, I blow up in that. And this is the guy who made it. He did a full body cast that he was totally nude except for a thong at his offices, and I think. I just standing there, totally naked, covered in alginate. I think you still have the. So yeah, it all kind of loops in, we all loop in.
Yeah, great deal of overlap on, Caroline is on the, losing end of a leprechaun curse. And, in Vegas, and she wishes to be more voluptuous, and it's taken to the 10th power, and first the lips swell, then the boobs, then the butt, get trapped in the door, you explode. It's really fun.
I did not watch that scene, but I know
it
the
is-
scene.
Yeah, it's great overlapping, again, on different projects. It's cool.
The top 5 girls in horror.
Yeah.
So Gabe, you only did the one chainsaw film, this part 2, but I do believe you crossed paths with Toby on one other project. Can you tell us
A
about
few
that?
years later, I was working at a company called Fantasy 2, and they're known for visual effects and miniatures. And for a little while, they had a makeup effects in-house department, and I was there at that time. And Toby was then developing a film called Spontaneous Combustion. So that was exciting because it was like, oh, cool, maybe this will happen. So I remember getting the script and breaking it down for the company. It didn't happen. Well, it happened years later. It didn't happen with them. I think they were doing the usual struggling to get a budget that they could fulfill their vision with. But that was fun. Just a quick overlap again years later. So it was cool.
And by the way, we will be Spontaneous Combustion trailer tonight in our Toby Hooper trailer reel. It's gonna open up the film tonight. So, you know we had to do it, right? Well, I want to thank you all for joining us tonight for celebrating this film, which deserves this audience, this much attention. One final quick question for Caroline before we start this film. And this is a question I've wanted to ask you for many years now. So she doesn't know this is coming. So about a decade ago, I was at your house at a party, and you made this incredible chili. This incredible homemade chili. We know how important chili is, and the chili cook-off is in Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. Now, at the end of the night, you gave us this entire tray of chili to take home. And I kid you not, we ate that chili every single night for a week. That's how much it was. But it was the most delicious chili I have ever had in my life. I've never forgotten this chili. I'm in love with this chili. So I have to ask Caroline, what is the special secret to your fabulously tasting chili?
Ooh.
I think that tells us all we need to know, right? Well, thank you, Bill. Thank you so much, Caroline. And thank you, Gabe.
Woo!
All right, phones off. Dog